Guruganeshabhyam Namaha. Some scientists and rationalists think that we are fools. Traditional Indians are fools. To say that there is some danger associated with eclipse. When we saw sun disappearing suddenly in the middle of the day, we got scared and thought that a demon had swallowed the sun. And thus came the story of Rahu and Ketu, connected to eclipse. This is not all that correct. When did science discover the truth about eclipse? It was Johannes Kepler who probably gave the first acceptable scientific explanation to a solar eclipse. This was in the year 1605, hardly 400 years back. In India, a few years before the end of the last Krita Yuga, which is roughly about 2.165 million years ago, a book was written called Surya Siddhanta. That book says, Chadago Bhaskarasyendur adhastho ghanavad bhavet bhutchayam prangmukhas chandro visatyasya bhavedasau. When moon comes between sun and earth, solar eclipse happens. When moon enters into the shadow of earth, lunar eclipse happens. 2.165 million years before. We knew this. Then what is the story about Rahu and Ketu swallowing sun and moon? Modern science's knowledge about the universe is very limited, which science itself frankly admits. Our sages knew much more, 1,000 times more, at several planes. Not just what is observed through a telescope or derived through mathematical equations. According to our knowledge, traditional knowledge, there is a concept called Brahmanda and Pindanda, macrocosm and microcosm. Every man is a miniature universe. Whatever is there in the universe, the entire universe is there inside man also, like how a tree is there inside a seed. This is not just a statement, this reflects in every aspect of Sanatana Dharma. This concept is elaborated in hundreds of books. So you and I have the whole universe contained inside us, in a miniature form, or we are just miniature universes. Whatever happens in the universe happens inside us also. That is what Vedanta Shastra also says. We are just water-filled pots in which the reflections of the same sun are seen. Most of the Vedic concepts are based on the principle of triads. Veda says there are three worlds, Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, earth, atmosphere and heaven. There are other worlds also, but for us, these are the most immediate and important ones. Bhumi, around that Antariksha and around that Swarga. Or if you look at it vertically, Bhumi above that Antariksha and above that Swarga. They are called by several combinations of names, Agni Loka, Vayu Loka, Indra Loka, like that. The presiding devatas of these three levels are Agni, Vayu and Surya. Surya and Indra are the same. Indra is one of the aspects of Surya. The same concept, when applied to the surface of earth, it becomes from Indian Ocean to Himalayas, the first level, Agni Loka. From Himalayas to Altai mountains in Mongolia, it is Vayu Loka. From Altai mountain to North Sea, it is Indra Loka. The same concept when applied to the human body, the abdominal cavity is the Agni Loka. The chest cavity, the thoracic cavity is the Vayu Loka. And the skull cavity or cranial cavity is the Indra Loka. There are direct connections, you see. Agni is in the stomach, digestive fire is in the stomach. Whatever happens in the air, what happens during winter? Air becomes cold. In winter you get respiratory diseases more. Surya is in the heaven, sky. We chant his mantra, Gayatri mantra for stimulating brain power. They are all connected to each other. We eat whatever is available on the surface of earth. So if that gets contaminated, if the food gets contaminated, then what gets affected first of all? The Agni Loka inside us, the stomach. If air gets contaminated, it is a Vayu Loka inside us that gets affected, the lungs. If the heaven gets contaminated, the sky gets contaminated, it is our brain that gets affected, our thinking that gets affected. So in the sky, in the heaven, we have two light-emitting bodies, Surya and Chandra. Normally, they give us light. We always compare light with knowledge. Only if light is there, then we will be able to act properly. We know what happens when the power suddenly goes off in the night. You will not know what to do. You might trip and fall. Now, these two light-emitting bodies, let's say they are like two gurus for us. They guide us throughout the life. One during day and one during night. Normally, they don't cross each other's path. Let's say, sun has his own disciples and moon has his own disciples. Both are doing good work. They are spreading knowledge, light. Let's take the solar eclipse first. The moon crosses sun's path, or the path of moon and sun intersect. Moon is jealous of sun. He is jealous of the big Shishya following of sun. He tries to block sun. He uses his influence, puts false cases on sun, denies permissions to sun's pravachan camps, gets sun's books banned, gets sun's ashramas sealed. Who is affected? The disciples of sun, those who are learning from sun. We, the inhabitants of earth. After some time, the facts come out, everything becomes normal. Now sun will take revenge on moon. When moon is nearby, sun takes the help of his best friend earth and makes a shadow to fall on the moon. A dark shadow is cast on moon. False allegation that he did this, he did that. Moon is even sent to prison for some time. He has to sit in prison. He disappears. Then the facts come out. He is innocent. He is released. Everything becomes normal again. Who is affected? Disciples of moon. What is the cause of this jealousy, competition between the two gurus? When does it happen? When their paths cross. Only when their paths cross. When they are far from each other, nothing happens. Only when their paths cross. The points where their paths cross, they are Rahu and Ketu, 2 points in the sky. Just 2 points in the sky. So are they good places? No, they are bad places because they arouse enmity and jealousy between sun and moon, who are otherwise 2 good gurus doing good work. So we say Rahu and Ketu are 2 bad influences on sun and moon. They take over sun and moon and make them do these nasty things. Scriptures call them asuras because asuras are the ones who make bad things to happen. Now this effect is seen in the sky for some time. Suddenly our sages realized then this is going to have impact in the minds of the humans also because it is happening in the sky. It's a bad thing that is happening in the sky. So bad things will take roots in their minds also. This has to be prevented. Humans have to be careful when eclipse happens so that bad thoughts, evil thoughts do not take roots in their minds. How to do this? Tell them to fill their minds with noble thoughts during this time. Prayers, chanting, upavasa, tarpana, so that the evil thoughts do not take roots in our minds. Now this is a story that I have created just to explain this celestial event. Our sages are much more efficient in their presentation. They are much more convincing. They know their audience, the level of understanding of their audience. So they said in very simple terms, there is something called Grahana. During that time, 2 asuras called Rahu and Ketu swallow sun and moon. Unless you sit down and pray, sun and moon will be gone forever. If you pray, then these demons will leave sun and moon and run away. And those days people never used to ask so many questions. Why, how, why not? So many doubts and suspicions were not there. And they enjoyed the benefits of good advice from the sages. Harihi Om.
यज्ञो हि श्रेष्ठतमं कर्म